Anybody else hear that, or is that my end?
That's
That
no.
sounds like Mickey Mouse.
I can hear it too.
I can hear it.
Very chipmunky.
Yeah, Bill, you sound like Mickey Mouse. You may not be. I can't understand what you're saying.
I may have to reconnect.
Yeah,
Here's Scott.
still not right.
Okay.
No.
Hey, Scott.
Hey,
Yeah.
So, Bill, you could, if you wanted to try to join by phone, you could hang up and join by phone. Or you could listen, but I don't think we're going to be able to hear you, make out what you said.
He can also mute himself on the video and then just call the dial-in number by phone. That way we can still see him and he'd
You wanna
be.
try that, Bill? Rick,
Yes. What?
while he does that, do you want to go ahead and call the meeting to order?
I can do that. Okay. Isle of Palms Planning Commission is now holding a special meeting on Monday, July 27th, calling the meeting to order and acknowledging that the press and the public were duly notified in accordance with state law. One item on the agenda. You want to kick it off, Doug?
Yes. So we only have the one item on the agenda. It is the to review and come up with either a recommendation or a game plan for recommendation for the MOU between the city and the Isle of Palms Water and Sewer Commission. And I will just, for the new members and for just really a refresher for everybody, I will kind of go through a little bit of the history because it's been going on for a while, get everybody up to speed on what's happened so far. And then we have representatives with the Water and Sewer Commission with us, so we could talk about specifics and we could come up with basically a plan for going forward. So really the Planning Commission's work and really the work between the Water and Sewer Commission began back in 2015, and it was born out of a request or a task from the Public Works Committee of City Council. And that committee tasked the Planning Commission with coming up with recommendations, methods to facilitate the expansion of the public sewer system. Bill, is that you?
I am here.
Okay.
excuse me, Bill, you might want to put your computer on mute if it's not.
I think your phone, I'm getting,
It says I am on mute.
what about on your phone? Can you-
No, turn the speaker off on your computer. Turn your volume down on your computer.
Did that do it? I'm getting a repeat of myself. And that might be Bill.
I'm just going to zoom out and I'll listen to you.
Okay. So the Planning Commission began in 2015. You all spent about 2 years looking into all of the prior efforts to expand the sewer system. There were a number of recommendations over the years. There were referendums to fund the sewer expansion. So there's kind of a long storied history about efforts to expand the sewer system. Really at the end of that effort, the Planning Commission recommended and came to the conclusion that instead of a wholesale expansion of the system all at once, the commission felt like it was basically cost prohibitive to do that. And so you all recommended that city council enact requirements tied generally to building permits that would lead to a slow incremental growth of the public sewer system. Those were things like requiring folks that weren't on but had a sewer system in front of them to tie in, requiring people that are building within 150 feet of a sewer line to expand that sewer line. And really that was seen as kind of a first step to hopefully kind of gauge and really gather data about the expense of doing these small expansions, with the idea that at some time in the future, it may be, we may be at a point where we could tweak those amounts and facilitate a faster growth of the sewer system. But in a nutshell, it was so expensive, and I think the commission felt like there was not the political will to take on that expense for a wholesale expansion all at once. So that recommendation was sent to City Council in 2017. It took council a long time because of various things. But they did eventually enact those ordinances, so they're in place now. And then kind of at that time, also the city began working on an MOU between the city of Isle of Palms and the Isle of Palms Water and Sewer Commission. And this was the prior administrator, Linda Tucker. This was really her kind of pet project as whatever her title was there at the time, but she really worked kind of exclusively on this MOU. And this got us to about 2018, the summer of 2018. Linda was going between the Planning Commission and the Water and Sewer Commission trying to develop this MOU. And she ultimately, and she got input from the Planning Commission. She went back to the Water and Sewer Commission. She gave it to them for review and comment. And for whatever reason, that review and comment hadn't really taken place until very recently here. So the language in the MOU really dates back to 2018. And here with the issue of the bond that the Water and Sewer Commission needs, there has been a renewed interest in looking at that MOU as kind of a hanging piece of business that's never been tended to. So that brings us to kind of most recent activity. And I will just kind of paraphrase in saying that most recently, I was in attendance at a Water and Sewer Commission meeting. The issue of them going before the city came up, and then explicitly this issue of the MOU came up. And they gave me an opportunity to talk about the MOU. I think there were some members on the commission felt like that now that there is a better working relationship between the two bodies, that it really wasn't necessary any longer, that the MOU clearly was geared towards sharing more information and being more collaborative. And I think certain members of the Water and Sewer Commission felt like that was already happening and there probably wasn't a need. I interjected my viewpoint that it was hanging out there. It had been hanging out there for a long time. And in my opinion, it worked to their advantage to go ahead and show in good faith that they are willing to work with the city. So they, at that meeting or right after that meeting, they signed the draft MOU. And they knew, and I think they understood at the time that they signed it, that it was dated at that point. It was 2 years old, and there was a need to look at it, edit it, update it. But I think they were just showing, like I said, in good faith, that they are open to the MOU. There really was not a great deal of detail in terms of, what would happen, but it was just guidance saying we will work together, we will share information, we'll meet periodically, fairly generic things. So I think they collectively felt like it wasn't a bad thing. So they went ahead and they signed the draft. That, the Water and Sewer Commission went to the Ways and Means Committee of City Council last Tuesday. Members of the Ways and Means Committee felt like it would be appropriate, since there's some age on the MOU, to have it come back to the Planning Commission to look at it again. Just ensure that, you know, the language that was put in there 2 years ago still holds true, and just kind of take another pass at it because of the age that's now on the document. So that's a long-winded way of bringing you up to speed. And I'd be happy to answer. There's a tremendous amount of detail and backstory that if there's questions about that, I'd be happy to answer. But it really comes down to the document, and do we want to stay with the document as it is? Do we want to tweak it, you know, just to bring it up to speed, or do we want to change it, you know, in a considerable fashion? So, any questions on kind of the background of where we are today?
Hey Douglas, this is Marty. I apologize. It appears that my internet went out here at the house, so I missed about the last 5 minutes, but that's okay. I'll catch back up. I'm with you now on my phone, just letting you know.
Okay, we were still on just the backstory, and Marty, if you have any, kind of close it and saying, if you have any questions about the backstory, please ask. But in a nutshell, there was a lot of moving parts for many years, and we're kind of now to a point of just reviewing this document.
Right.
If there are no questions about the backstory, I would offer kind of what I think there are at least three options that I see that the Planning Commission could move towards. First option would be to just, you know, take the document as it stands. It's been tweaked very slightly since the last time the Planning Commission saw it 2 years ago, and say, yes, it all looks good. It all still works for us. So recommend that it be executed as is. That would be the first option. Second option I think that you have is to say, you know what, things are just different now, and we feel like we need to start from scratch and go back to the beginning on this thing. That would be another option. That will obviously, we have the added wrinkle of this is all being looked at by City Council tomorrow for first reading of the bond, and I think they wanted to have some kind of review prior to that, which is why we had a special meeting. And then it's the bond is up for second reading at the end of August. But that's not to say that if you wanted to come up with a new MOU, that those two necessarily have to be tied to each other. So if you wanted to do that option, I would say that we report back to City Council. We have the MOU. We want to start kind of from scratch, and it's going to take us more time than the 30 days that they have to act. The third option that I see would be kind of a hybrid of the two, where in my mind, this existing MOU is so generic and so just kind of open-ended that it really just speaks to the two talking to each other more regularly. I think that can be, you know, I don't think there's any harm in that notion. But if the Planning Commission wanted to begin working on a more detailed approach, that could be done with a subsequent MOU. It could be done, you know, without really an MOU, or it could be done with a strategic plan or any other number of ways that you wanted to go. But that would be what I would kind of call a third option of accepting this and then working on an independent, separate document to really lay the roadmap for how the sewer lines would actually be expanded.
So Douglas, if I could add something to what you were saying as part of the backstory and kicking some of this off, I think when we developed the MOU or the thought of the MOU, it was necessary because of a lot of us being new to the Planning Commission or people coming off and on. And we really didn't have an understanding of our roles versus the Water and Sewer Commission's roles. And I think this MOU kind of puts down the history and memorializes exactly how we should be all working together, and also adds those goals to it as what we saw as being important after we had worked on developing a plan for sewering the island. So I think that, in that being said, I really do think that the document kind of stands as a good document, and that it also does give people a chance to see exactly what the relationship is, and it also gives it a path forward. That's my 2 cents.
Any other thoughts on that?
Well, let me, I can't keep quiet. As I agree with you 100%. I think as a starting document, I saw it as a starting document. In fact, I talked to Linda about it one day about where's the detail, where's the beef? And her thought at that time was, let's get an outline first, the template, get it agreed by both parties. And then at that point in time, we'll go in and start putting in detail. And I think the thing that was lacking, in my opinion, was that the document didn't have any product. It was basically an anthology, but it didn't have stuff attached to it that makes it real and makes it live. So that's my view on it. Anyway, I see it as a good document that needs a little bit of tweaking.
Would it be all right to ask Chris, what do you think?
Well, I wasn't involved in the original crafting of the document. I mean, I've read it several times. And I think, just like y'all are saying, it's a good working document that sort of lays out, some broad ideas and, with a specific goal in mind, and for the two parties to work better together, which, we already have started that process. But I mean, I think you definitely need a good document that's going to sort of give you a roadmap, because ultimately the goal is the same for the city and for the Water and Sewer Commission to expand sewer and get rid of people on septic tanks. And, if we need to come up with some better details to add to it, that would be fine. It's something we could start working on. But Chairman Lee wasn't able to make it today, so y'all get me and y'all get Bill Jenkins, who's over there. So if y'all got any questions, hopefully we can answer them. But no, I think commission, Douglas when he had an opportunity to speak at the last commission meeting, and there was a couple of commissioners who were saying, well, we're already working better together. Why do we need this? But he did a good job of kind of explaining that, the amount of effort that went into this, and that we did need, sort of just a roadmap and a document that sort of made sure to lock both parties into working together. So I think it's a good document. It's just like, it is kind of generic. So, but if we needed more details, we could always work on locking down some better details.
Would a viable option possibly be, and this kind of goes to both Rick and I think Vince's and Douglas's, everybody's comments, maybe try to close this one out as it is with an understanding or an added line in there that says something about the parties agree to work towards, an evolving document over the next year or two, just recognizing that this is a non-binding but well-intended document to work together, and it memorializes the agreement that, hey, this is just the first step, and that we'll move forward to continue to evolve the relationship over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I agree, Scott. I was going to actually suggest the same thing, and also maybe the fact that we should take out that reference to the funding plan that wasn't attached, just to make it a little more accurate.
Yeah, and I think the commission would definitely agree to, if there was a line added at the end or somewhere in the document that said that we would work towards coming up with a better plan with some specific goals, I don't think they'd have a problem with that addition to the MOU.
Chair, if I may.
Go ahead, Desiree.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I just wanted to add that when you look at the MOU, sections 4 through 6 refer to the collaborative approach that both the city and the commission entered a couple years ago to update the master plan. I think it would well serve this document to add a sentence on section 6 that says that this project has been completed and was presented to council and the commission. It just kind of closes that loop, and we're going to share the cost of an updated plan. And if we're going to execute that contract, that MOU now, it would make sense to add some language to that. That would be my only suggestion.
Yeah, so when this document was done, the product of Thomas and Hutton's master planning work was not finished. So I think that's a good comment, that we would just add a bullet to say there is now a conceptual plan of how physically the system would be expanded. So the two comments I have so far basically are that we would explain that the master plan is done and we can make reference to it in the document. Second suggestion is to add an additional bullet that says we will, after this MOU, we will work on a future tool that is a more detailed roadmap of how we do go about expanding the sewer system. Those are the two edits I have so far.
Can we take out the reference to the funding plan?
Yes, I think that's a good one. So I do, in rereading it, there is an additional kind of partner document that Linda Tucker developed, and it really was really just a list of grants that are available. I do think that she envisioned that list kind of becoming a little bit of a reference to look towards for available funding sources. So I don't know if we want to include that list of grant opportunities as an appendix at this point, or if we want to look at it when we get into the more detailed plan in the future. But I think that's what when she put that language in there, I believe that was the intent, that it was going to include that list of grant opportunities. But I think for the time being, that's probably the wise thing, to just delete that sentence.
Right.
Rick, does that address your comment about that format, about kind of evolving the MOU once we get this one in place?
Well, pardon me for being a little skeptical, but what I see now, the document in front of me, to me, has very little body. And if we're going to truly go ahead and put teeth to it or give it more personality, that's great. I look forward to that. I hope that happens.
But I think it ought to be another document. This is the let's get acquainted document, because the relationship hasn't been exceptionally robust, and this is a directional form to get us there, and then we can get it to embellishing the where-to-fors and how to get there. To try to do that up front, might scare the suitors away.
Yeah, one of the things we got to think about, if you think of, run a tape out about 3 years. About 3 years from now, we're going to be deeply in bed with each other because we're going to be doing the sewer system for the island. We're going to start 3 years from now. We'll be starting to talking to contractors and starting to get little activity percolating. And that project requires both of these parties to be closely knitted together. It ain't gonna happen with one party by itself. And I think any steps we can take now to get to know each other better and to form a process of cooperation is important. I think putting a document out there for for something to happen, down the road, some undistinguishable place or date, just a vague time, is kind of dangerous. It just, it can whittle away or disappear. And then we're sitting in front of an engineering company talking about servicing the whole island.
Well, would Chris and Bill be open to putting some time limit in there that says our target is to create that new or updated MOU within the next 12 months? I don't know if that's something that, would you guys be agreeable to that? Put a target on there?
Yeah, I mean, you talking about a target to like start sewering the island? I mean, there's a lot of things that have to.
No, we're just talking about putting a little more meat or beef on that MOU, the next version of the MOU, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I think the commission would definitely be agreeable to setting some targets or to put some more meat into it. Because I mean, they did agree that it is a pretty generic document, and it just it basically just says that we're going to agree just to talk to each other and share information, but have some goals in there if we're ultimately, that is the goal, is to bring more people into the sewer system.
Rick, would that satisfy you?
I guess it has to.
Pardon me? Sorry.
Okay.
So I will tell you kind of my personal, I don't know, struggle or what I see in the future. And I don't know quite what to do about it, but I'll go ahead and say that, every time we've looked at sewering the island, the issue comes back to the enormous price tag. And that seems to be, to me anyway, that seems to always be the roadblock. And then I feel like there is a little bit of there's this kind of constantly taking the temperature of council members for their political willingness to make really major changes financially and basically put the burden on the residents that I think it probably would have to do to raise that amount of money. And there's just never been the political will to do it. So to me, I kind of see this thing leading all roads back to this discussion of where does the money come from? And is the political will there, either with the city council or the Water and Sewer Commission members, to come up with a sizable investment to expand the sewer. And that's always been where this has fallen flat. I think that people understand the need for it. They support the need for it. But then it comes down to the, sharpening your pencils as to how it's going to get paid for. And it just kind of goes silent in the room. And that's the kind of the end of the effort at that point. So I don't know, that roadblock is still out there. I mean, we've identified some additional funding sources. The Water and Sewer Commission has been, I'm sorry, grant. I may have said funding. I meant to say grant resources. Water and Sewer Commission has been fairly successful in getting grants. And that's great. And I think that's obviously, as long as those continue to kind of trickle in, that's one path forward. But I think short of getting a lot of grants, I don't know that I have ever been in a room and seen the political will to impose very strong-handed rules that would be necessary to lead to a meaningful expansion of the sewer system. And I'll just kind of say that for the benefit of the group. Rick was mentioning work starting in a few years. And unless, we collectively or one of us finds many millions of dollars, I don't know how that's going to happen.
Well, take the alter ego of that, and that is attrition. Let's say that we continue our process with ordinances and add more and more ordinances and start an attrition process of creeping sewage. Well, that still requires good cooperation between us. So I think no matter whether we go with the full boat or we go with incremental advances, we have to work together. We have to find a way to work very closely together, in my opinion.
And I would agree with that. And that's basically kind of the conclusion that we came to last look was that's the only kind of practical, agreeable way forward is slow incremental growth, and hopefully it gets a shot in the arm occasionally with a grant.
And that's going to be what we're going to live with. I think that's going to be our environment. We're not going to be able to hit the switch and say, let's flip everything over into a storage system. But again, like I said, it requires that we're going to have good procedures, collateral procedures or parallel procedures, so we can work together efficiently. That's
Anybody? So what I'm gathering is we have the existing MOU. We are going to modify 3 sections of it. First being to explain that the master plan is complete. Second one being that we are going to modify the statement about there being a funding plan. And third one, we're going to add an additional bullet that would state, I think I'm hearing basically within the next year, we will collaboratively work together to develop a more detailed roadmap for how this expansion is going to happen.
what about putting something in there, even if it's just a sentence? This $20 million project is going to kick off in the next 6 months. The wastewater treatment plant. Can't there be some kind of statement in there where we get some peek over the fence or get a meeting or a report or something every now and then telling us what's going on?
So this, Rick, are you talking about decommissioning the Wild Dunes facility?
Yeah. Yep.
Chris, do you have any?
Yeah, I mean, we could add some language into it to where we could update the planning commission, during construction. That's just attending a meeting right there and letting everybody know what's going on, kind of where we are. Is that what you're talking about, Rick?
Yeah, but put it in writing to make sure that we do it.
Okay. No, I agree. Put it in. You could add that another bullet to this MOU. And I don't think the commission would have a problem with us updating the planning commission or city council on a periodic basis, monthly or quarterly, however we need to do it. It works for everybody.
Well, engineering projects, you have dead months and you have active months. You have active, first month is active, the next 3 are dead. Then things start to perk. So it would be at your call, when something relevant has happened, something meaningful has happened. There's been something, progress or no progress, but meaningful.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem at all to update y'all with the progress during construction. Just like I said, just attending a meeting and letting y'all know. And and if it's in writing in the document, then we're kind of bound to it because we've all agreed to it.
Chris, what is this? Rick mentioned several months from now starting. Is that a realistic time frame, or what is kind of the time frame that you all?
It would be early 2021, probably after the first of the year. Bill and I were actually talking about that if everything were to work and we didn't hit too many snags along the way in, securing the bonds and then getting the permit, which they've been turning around MBR permits for the wastewater plant fairly quick. But we were probably thinking around maybe March, April of 2021 would be when we would start construction.
Okay, so that's a fourth bullet. Sounds like everybody is agreeable to that. And if all of this sounds agreeable, I will basically report to council, or Desiree can report to council that that's the result of this meeting. I would then have these edits available at our next regular meeting in August for you all to look at the actual language. And then at your August meeting, you could formalize the recommendation onto full council for their consideration, if that all works for the group.
Sounds good.
You've been quiet, Lisa.
I think it's good. I think this is a place to start, but we've got to put some more teeth into it. So I agree with everything that's been said.
How about Bill? I feel like, Bill, if you have the ability to talk, don't you? Any thoughts?
Yeah.
We may have lost Bill. That is Bill on the line, isn't it?
It's supposed to be.
That's valuable input.
He's not muted unless he's muted on his end.
Right.
Let me see. Well, we may have to trust that Bill, if he does have comments, will give them to us at our regular meeting. If that, I'm going to read that as, oh, Bill has just disconnected, I think. I think I'm going to read that as general consensus. I don't think you really need to take a vote. I think I've heard from each of you, and I will prepare something for you to formally consider at your next regular meeting, and you can take the vote at that meeting, if that works for everybody.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Very good.
Agreed.
All right, I think that's all we have on our agenda. So I think with that, we will close, and thank you all for getting together on such short notice. And we will see you in maybe a week or two.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.